Hey, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. So last session, we were discussing about different commands of Linux, by the way. And we are going to continue learning some more commands for today. And mostly using those particular commands, we will be uh, doing the project. Okay. So in the next week, by the way. Okay. So that's the idea. So for that, um, anyhow, like what are the commands that we have discussed in yesterday's session, right? So let's try to list them. So first we talked about is curl command, which is a browser-based command, right? So it's a browser, and where you can download and as well as browse it. And whereas the tar command we have talked about, so to how do we extract the files? It's a compressed file that you might get it from the internet when you're downloading some software or a file. So it will be mostly a archived file. So the tar is one of the archive file from Linux. So we talked about how do we extract by using itself. And also we talked about, unzip command. So how do you zip the files? But these commands also can be used to, make a tar file, make a zip file. It's okay. Okay. So, but that's not our interest. So our interest is we downloaded some software and we wanted to extract it. So that's where I talked about it. But yeah, other possibilities are also there. That's okay. And after that, we talked about the concept, which is a pipe concept. So we talked about it. And then we started with a command, which is called as ps and ps-ef. And then kill command with -9 option. And sudo is what we talked about. And also sudo user add is another one we talked about to add a user to run our application. All the users, all the process in the system is recommended to run it as a non-administrative account, not the administrator. The administrator is going to run only few process which is exclusively required for the admin activities. You should not run your general application with a root user. So that's where we need to add the user. So we talked about how do we add the user. So that's one thing. And the next thing is we'll talk about the next commands. Also, let me create a machine. Every day while practicing, I'm creating a machine, and after my practice, I'm destroying the machine. So hopefully you're also following the same thing. Don't leave the machine as is. It will cost you. Sorry, this is all not needed. My bad. So here we are actually giving you an URL, right? For direct image. Okay, so the machine came to the running state. Let's try to log in. So the connection refused is a good message. That means the machine is literally responding, but I can't accept the connections it is telling. So because it is booting up, right? So just starting. So that's the reason. It's fine. Okay, I am into the mission and I will go to. Okay, so the next is an important job that we are going to take care is a package management. So that means we are going to install certain software. We are going to manage certain software, especially let's say I wanted to run some web server. I mean, application server. I need to install all those things. My databases. I need to install the software. Installing the software is one of the important task of your job as well. Okay, so which turns out this package management is one of the critical one of the uh, critical items that would fall into your things. Okay, and the package management is the key admin activity that most of the time the DevOps guys deals with. We need to install and update the packages all the time, right? Now in Red Hat OS, so we're talking about this package management. Every type of operating system has its own way of dealing with the things. Okay, so in Red Hat OS, or it's a family like CentOS, like you take your Red Hat, any copy of Red Hat, we I shown like many vendors, right? So those all guys, by the way, so our Red Hat especially follows something called as RPM, which is a Red Hat package manager, which later renamed as RPM package manager. Okay, now it is called as RPM package manager. And these softwares will have an extension of .rpm. It's like a same like MSI in Windows. In Windows, what is the native extension is .msi. And alternatively, you also have some exe also, which is there in Windows, but exe is not a Windows one natively. MSI is a Windows. Microsoft installer MSI is the native one, right? The same way, RPM is there for Red Hat OS. So then there's a maturity in the RPMs, by the way. Okay. If you look back to the history of if you look into the history of Red Hat, um, maybe I can tell at least from the Red Hat 2 version. So until Red Hat 2, or from Red Hat 2, by the way, until Red Hat 4, 4.8 was there. Okay, was the one milestone, or before to that itself. So until here, until 4.8, okay. So there was a approach which is called as, you used to use a direct command called as RPM. Okay. Now we use RPM command to install the package, to uninstall the package. Okay, and all you used to deal with the RPM direct command. But after that, okay, so this becomes a challenge managing. So what is the challenge? Every time this RPM can install only the package if that is there in the local system only. Okay, so you have to download the file and install it. To overcome that challenge, so from 4.8, they introduced another command which is called as YUM. Okay. Now YUM, what is the advantage you get is it will download the package automatically from some location, whatever you specified, whether it can be internet or intranet, doesn't matter. Okay. You specify a location, here is my packages, and it will install it. And also while installing, the RPM has a problem of dependencies. So if one RPM is dependent on another RPM, that RPM is dependent on another RPM. Okay, it all becomes much challenge. So that's where they introduce something called as YUM, and this YUM solve these two problems. Like so a package can be in a remote place. When you ask to install, it downloads and install it, and after that, um, automatically it can install all its dependencies also. So that's the advantage of YUM. And over a period of time, so the YUM era was there for some time. Now in RHEL 8.0, they introduced a new one again. Okay. So in RHL 8.0, so from RHL 8.0 means 9 is also following that. Now again, they introduced something else called as, which is DNF. Okay. So another command called as DNF. These are all, I mean, at least RPM was native. RPM was native to Red Hat. And after that, YUM is a open source. Red Hat adopted it. DNF was a open source again. Red Hat adopted it. So the problems actually, that is how the world works, right? I mean, I'm not sure how many of you aware of the Android, especially if you understand the Android, the way that Android works and all, or the Android development works, especially if you go back, like, so 15 years back, maybe something like that, when smartphones are just coming in, there were no many features, by the way, right? So if you want to take a screenshot, so then you need to install a additional app. If you want to increase the brightness, reduce the brightness automatically, you install additional one. So these are all slowly embedding into your mainstream development and giving us a features. Some people think there's a gap. They build a product, and so over a period of time, it will be felt like it's essential, and it will adopt it into the mainstream. By the way, so that's how so this is also like, YUM and DNF are third-party projects, so which was addressing the problems, and essentially as a vendor, these guys looks as a as a solution, and starts adopting it, and some of them maybe contributed or started within internal of Red Hat also. It need not to be outside of the company also. Within the interested group in the company only, they would have started some project, and that becomes like this. Okay, this is how it generally works. Now that's where the DNF comes into picture. So now what is DNF solving here? RPM, there is a problem of dependency, there is a problem of remote. YUM is already solving that. Then what is the DNF doing that? DNF doing here? So um, DNF is actually solving the problem of multi-version of package availability to install. Okay, so that means simply to say that user can choose which version of software to be installed. For example, if you look at the modern programming language or modern language, I mean native, um, not modern native, like basically like you look towards the modern development. There are a lot of versions comes, by the way. Okay, for an example, let's take one programming language called as Java. So if I click on Java download, for an example, okay, so there are so many versions it will be available. For an example, just to give you, um, so when I wanted to go and try to download the Java, so they're giving me Java 24 and Java 21 options to download, right? So the same way, you go for Node.js. Now, when you go for Node.js to download, so they are offering different versions. By the way, these are all currently active in development. Okay, and now if you just go with the YUM, the problem here is when you install, it always supports one version on choice. By the way, so you want to install some other version, you can't install it. Now DNF brought that particular solution that you can choose your own version to install. Okay, so that's where the DNF is actually solving. And also DNF is solving one more problem that YUM did address, which is YUM actually has helped you, in downloading the dependencies, by the way, but whereas if you remove that package, it won't remove the dependencies. Okay, I installed one package that has 100 dependencies. I installed 100 dependencies. If I remove this package, those packages came as a dependency, those should go away, right? But that won't go away. So the DNF has addressed that particular problem. So this is how it happened. Okay. So, and so this is where I think it started from Red Hat to at least one version. I never got a chance to play around. I really don't know that history as well. So from 2 until 4.8 it was there, and 5, 6, 7 is there, and 8, 9 is actually on DNF, and 10 came. I really need to take a look, like what all the enhancements that it came up with. I don't know so far. At 10, what all the changes are there. Okay. So, but yeah, so this is what you have. And that's where now whatever we learn by the way, and it is going to be a DNF command. The same options actually literally works for YUM also. Okay. The DNF is just a little bit plus plus of YUM only, not big deal. Okay. That's where if you want to see the list of packages, you can give sudo. If you want to see the list of installed packages on the system, I'm giving sudo because it's an admin activity considering. So sudo DNF list installed. I'm seeing the packages. I'm going to see the list of packages which is installed. Okay, these are all the packages which is installed. Now, there are also the packages which are available by the way. So DNF list available, it is going to tell us what are the packages which are available to install. So which is not installed, but available to install. Okay, so there are so many packages. Okay. All right. So now let's say if you want to have both the list and if you want to have both the available and as well as the installed packages together, you simply give DNF list all. Okay, and enter. So it will give you both the installed package plus available packages to install as well. Okay. Then how do you differentiate whether the package is installed or available to install? Basically is by going for an example, I will go for pipe grep for VIM I'm giving, let's say VIM. So VIM is one package which would have been definitely there in the system. So now here, if you see this output by the way, so I got VIM, the first three packages, the last column is telling the source where this package is got installed from, and which is also giving a @ prefix, right? So even the fourth package. So these four are having something called as @ symbol. And this @ symbol tells that this package is installed. And whoever it is not having @ symbol, those guys, the package is not installed. Okay. So that means these are available to install and this is installed. So that's where DNF list and grep for a particular package, you will come to know if the package is installed or not in the single shot. Okay. Or if even if it is available also. So this is just to list it by the way. And if I need to install some package, for an example, then what you're going to do is DNF install nginx. So if you are installing nginx, if you see this here, okay, so you're trying to install nginx and automatically its dependencies it is actually installing it. So do you want to proceed? Yes, you are getting it, right? So I'm giving no now for now. Okay, why? Because I wanted to show you an option that you're being asked for yes or no. If you want to avoid that yes or no, you can directly give an option -y by the way. So sudo dnf install -y. Okay. So if you don't use sudo by the way, the things will not work, right? So it's an administrative thing. So you should be running with a super user it is telling, right? So that's where it is sudo. Install nginx. You install nginx. Whereas if I go for DNF remove nginx, so all the packages are also getting removed by the way. Okay. So this is how we are going to deal with installation and removing. Pretty simple only. So what we have done, DNF list to show all the packages, DNF install to install a package, the package name, and so remove also to remove the package. And sometimes you get some updates, by the way. If you want to update, you can do an update also. Okay, there are some packages which came as an update. So you can see this this package coming in blue color. So this package itself is available for update. So sudo DNF update YUM. When you do an update, by the way, so it is going to install or download the latest version and clean up the older versions. So what it is doing was, it is trying to upgrade this YM 414025, and it is actually cleaning up 4.14.08. Okay, it is updating to 0.25. So some version is okay. So you can go for update. Now you can also do a full system update by using DNF update. If you don't give any package name, you simply give DNF update. So it is going to update all the packages which are available for update. Okay, so this is how you are having the DNF command. Now, if you have wondered, okay, where is this package? So we're talking about a remote location and things like that. Where is this package? Or how does this DNF command, okay, is actually downloading in some place, by the way, how this downloading is happening. So because if you see this, it is telling that, it is downloading the packages, right? It is downloading this package. So where is it downloading from? How it can download? And that is where you're going to talk about. So ls /etc yum.repos.d. So here you'll find out some repo files, and that repo files has the information about where this package can be. Okay. So for an example, if I give this, now you are having a URL, and it will go and talk to that URL and download from that URL, and that URL can be internet or it can be intranet. Okay. And most of the enterprise organizations, okay, it is mostly intranet, but connected through Red Hat satellite server. Okay, there is a Red Hat satellite server. And what is the satellite concept is? Red Hat satellite solution is a system management solution that help organizations to manage the Red Hat enterprise Linux, okay, from a centralized console. That's okay. And it provides provisioning, okay, and also remote management, monitoring, and different things, by the way. And also especially the package management will be there. Subscription management, especially, like so how many machines you purchased the Red Hat and all, or the billing purpose, so is all used. And so Red Hat satellite server does the package management also. So Red Hat server uses RPM, this okay, and for package management, allowing centralized control and distribution software practices across Red Hat Linux environment. So generally, satellite servers is going to have the content repository, we call it up. And this content repository is a repository which is connected behind the scene to Red Hat. Okay. And so you already purchased the license and all. You know to really look for any outside for packages, unless until it's really third party. So you always get the packages from the Red Hat, which is from a trusted source. Okay. So you don't have to bother about it. Enterprise organizations works this way generally. Satellite server will be there. If someone asks you also, you can always tell that it is a satellite server. Where do you get the packages? Maybe for your company, just as an understanding perspective. So it is just from this Red Hat satellite server. Okay. So that's how it will be. Now, let's say there are some third-party packages like, so something like Jenkins and all. Okay, this is third party. So DNF list all or DNF list both does the same job. If I search for Jenkins, I don't see any Jenkins here. Okay. But however, if I go and give download this particular repo file. Okay, so I downloaded this repo file, add this guy. So here there's a URL given, right? So now DNF list Jenkins. So now it will go and find out the new repositories there. That means the new location has been identified by DNF in the repo file. Then it is showing us that there is a one package called as Jenkins Noark package. Okay, coming from Jenkins stable. Okay, there is a name given to this repository. So Jenkins stable, but yeah, so the Jenkins, the one. So this is how we'll do it. So the repo file, let your DNF command know that where are the packages to be fetched from. It is kept in some syntax format. This is some syntax, and the DNF command will start reading it. And DNF also supports directly giving the URL of the package to be installing as well. This is also possible. Now it all depends upon the vendor how they're offering the packages. Some guys, they will give you, like, for an example, I'll go for MongoDB. Okay, if I go for MongoDB, if I go to the installation, is the docs. So if you go to the MongoDB documentation, like let's say as an example, I'm talking about install it on Red Hat and this machine. So the moment you go there, so what they will offer you a repo file to download. Okay, so they are going to give you a repo file. Where is it? They are giving it somewhere. So you see this? They're giving, hey, you configure this repo file. In which location you have to configure? It is em.repos.d, and keep some name with repo file. And this is the content you can keep it. If it is a 9 machine, you use this. If it is 8 machine, you use this. Is what they're telling. And after that, you can just, okay, go ahead and install MongoDB. That's what they're telling, right? So it all depends upon the vendor. Some people just give the RPM URL. You'll simply download and install the RPM URL. Direct RPM they'll give you. Okay, not the repo and all. It all depends upon the vendor, but repo is a very standard one, by the way. So most of the matured vendors will do this job. Okay, all right. So uh, that's where, okay, so the DNF command is actually going to help you in managing the package management. But the actual usage of, or the actual use case of DNF, I did not um, came up with. But I would like to show you that the difference between okay, so this one, DNF and YUM. Okay, I would like to show you. Let me just try to find one small thing. Don't bother about the command I'm actually entering. So not there. I'm just finding out some, Red Hat 7 OS, by the way, somewhere. For login. Okay. Okay, so I'm in some Red Hat machine. So here YUM install, for an example, Nginx I'll give. Let's see how is I'll get it. I'm not sure this is end of life. The supports will be there or not. So there is nothing to do, but we'll just give DNF list. Sorry, YUM list also. So you have something, right? Uh, let's take some package that can be having some dependencies. I'm thinking like, so gedlib okay. So yum install gedlib -y. So now it is installing yum install gedlib. I'm actually installing one package, right? So whereas if I yum remove, it is actually having one dependency. I was expecting it to remove the dependency, right? But you see this, it's not removing the dependency. But DNF command is not like, okay. So now if I go for uh, Red Hat slash, so generally it also has zipdevel, jlibdevel, jedlibdevel. So you can see this, it installed all the packages. But the moment I try to remove that package, so it will remove its dependencies also. This is one of the gap that, so YEM had for a long time. Okay. So, and now DNF will start supporting something more, by the way. So what is that is DNF modules. So DNF module list. So modules will help you. Now let's say DNF install. I'll show that node package or Node.js, I think. Node.js is nothing but okay. Node.js is nothing but one of the development software. So you can see this. What is the software you are getting is here it is telling one, by the way, and but here's the actual version. One package is there. So 1620 is what you're having. So 16th version is what Node.js is coming in. But earlier, if you go back to before DNF, there was no support for choosing now a next version or another version of Node.js. I don't have an option. Okay, so that's where now here sudo DNF. Now there is a new thing coming in module list. Now the module list is going to do that the Node.js, especially if you look in, so you have next versions modules also is available. So you have 18 available, 20 available, 22 available. Now it's all about what do you choose, by the way. So now sudo DNF module disable Node.js, whichever is the default one. Okay. Now enable Node.js colon 22 is there, right? Let's go for 22. So now what is the version of the software it will try to install if I after enabling this module? So if I go for DNF list install Node.js, now it will try to get a 22 package. So now I have a choice of choosing which version to install, and choosing which version to install has came up like has been introduced as a module in DNF, by the way. So DNF module list, DNF module enable, DNF module disable. So this is what you do. Okay. So just to conclude, okay, so DNF is a latest command package. DNF is a uh, package manager, by the way. So it will help you in listing the packages. It will help you in listing available and as well as install packages. And also it will help you in install and remove. Also helps you in update as well. And it all finds the information from some repo file. You need to keep the repo file, depends upon your requirement. And also DNF supports multiple versions, choosing of which version to install, by the way. Okay. Until here, we have discussed in or we have discussed now until now in the DNF. Any questions? Any questions, confusions?
Hey Raghu.
Yeah.
Uh, so, what are exactly these modules?
So modules is basically like it help you in choosing a one version. Like basically Node.js has one module, and in Node.js they're giving multiple versions. So now you have the capability or ability to choose which version you want to go for it. So they're giving multiple versions, right? So earlier you don't have this thing. Okay. So
Hmm.
you have only one version which is there. So now they're giving you a flexibility to choose a versions as well.
Okay.
So earlier you can install one version and like let's say new, I mean you can always do an update of the version, or let's say you're doing for the first time, you don't have the support for choosing which version do you want to install. Okay, that's the only challenge you had, and that was being addressed by some of the people in different way, by the way. So how they have addressed is sudo dnf list python if you take. Okay. So dnf list script for Python. So this problem was there, but people address that in a different way. So how they have addressed this, you see this Python 3.112 is a different package. Python 3.11 is one package. Python 3 is another package. Okay, so this is how it came.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this was addressed in a different way. Now the same way, like so Java, right? So Java also JDK it will come. That's okay. Now you see this Java 11 is there, Java 17 is there.
Mm-hmm.
So they address with a different package name, but not a single package, choosing which version you want.
Okay.
Yeah,
So these are the we get the module list in this case in DNF,
correct.
and if we install Java 17, right? And later on, if the app is not supporting it, and we need to install another version for Java, so we use the DNF module disable command, right, to disable the current version.
Yeah, you need to remove the current version and install the another version.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So the next is a very important one, which is a service management. Service management is a server is always meant to serve something, right? So now what all you have learned so far is not the quite important thing, right? So server purpose is to serve something. This is important thing. Okay. Now, to list down or to manage these particular services, by the way, so OS is coming up with a concept called as System D, which manages this services, by the way. Okay, System D. And again, if you look back to the some history again, so the same diagram, if you look for the service management until RHEL 6, you had you had a concept called as initd for the service management. Okay, and after that, they introduced from 7, they introduced this System D. Okay. So what is the advantage of initd and over, or basically like System D advantage over initd is, uh, one major thing is, there are many things, by the way. So one major thing, if you can understand, is initd is a sequential booting, whereas System D is parallel booting, which, like, initd means, let's say I have 100 services to start, by the way, it will go one after another, one after another, one after another, like that. It will wait, it will go slowly, by the way. So that means the system boot time, used to take, like, a longer time. For an example, any service has been stuck somewhere, other service can't proceed because it's sequential. Now System D just parallelize that. So now there are 100 services. It will try to run all the 100 at once, unless until you mark some dependency between those, by the way. Okay. If all these are individual services, they'll just try to run all the 100 in parallel, and which makes the system booting just in few seconds. Okay. So that's where when you create a machine, hardly less than a minute, you're able to get the machine up and running, and you're able to get it because of the booting system, which is System D, by the way. So whatever it is, it's been a while, it's been a decade that System D is there in the, it is there in the Red Hat, by the way. Now we are going to talk about the System D. How can you manage the things? You can also list down all your services by using sudo list the services. Okay. So you're getting different services which are there in the system. Most of the time you don't require, but generally if you know the service name, by the way, so you will go for systemctl status some service. Maybe I removed Nginx. So like, let's say sudo DNF. I install the package called as, let's say, Nginx. And this Nginx guy only, the software guy will try to install some service file in the system. Okay. Now previously it was telling if I give systemctl status Nginx, there is no service file for this or service configuration for this. Now, if I give systemctl status Nginx, it is showing that it is inactive now. It is there, but it is inactive. Okay. Now, how can I start the service? I'll go for starting the service of Nginx. You started the Nginx. Now, systemctl status Nginx, you can see this, it is actually active and running. Okay. Now, when we actually go for the services deploying in the machine, and those are in-house development, by the way, you need to start writing your service file. So here is the Nginx, there's a service file here. So you need to write your, so associated service file for your requirement. Okay. So sample systemd service file. Okay. So you will get a simple service files, by the way. You can see this. This is a simple service file. You can keep it. Okay. And we will also be able to do it for our project, by the way. So, but however, all the services are actually mostly you'll find out in ls -l /etc systemd system. So here mostly you'll find out all the services, and if I want all the subfiles also of that particular directory, I can give capital R. So it will recursively show me all the files inside every directory inside there. So everywhere you can see this, all these are all service files. Okay. Now if I really need one service for our requirement, I'll come here and I'll create one service file so that I can start managing the service by using systemctl start and systemctl stop and all. you can manage that service. Windows also have the same concept. So Windows, let's see, something like that is there. And if you go to, I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but Windows also have the services management. So this is the services thing. And over here, you can start service, stop service, and you can also make it automatic, manual, all the things are there. Okay. Now systemd also supports the same thing. So now what I have done, I have started this service manually. Okay. Now if I give systemctl, okay. So status nginx. So this is also showing the same thing. The preset is disabled and the current state is also disabled. Now what is this preset and the current state is? It is automatic or manual. If it is automatic, so it will show you that it is enabled by them. So that means when the system is actually starting it up, automatically this service will be started. Okay, for an example, right now it is disabled. I'll go for sudo reboot of the system. I'm giving a reboot. Reboot means restart. Reboot is a command. It just restarts the system. So that's where I lost the connection because system is trying to go down. The OS is going down. All right. Sudo systemctl status nginx. Now you see it didn't start it. Now sudo systemctl enable nginx. Now if I go and check the status, now it is enabled, right? Now even after reboot, let's say I'll reboot the machine, I will not start this service. It will be started automatically. Let's wait for a minute. Okay. So now if I go and give a status of Nginx, I didn't started this service automatically, or I didn't start it. Since it is marked as enabled, it automatically started. Windows also have the same concept. So you have something called as manual and you have something will have automatic. I'm not sure how much clear you can see the screen. Okay. And here, yeah, if you see, so here it is showing some of them are automatic and manual, right? So the same concept here, there's nothing difference. So automatically the service wanted to start it, you just give it as enabled. So that is by using systemctl enable. And that's all you have in the systemctl. So if you look back, like what all the commands that we have, so you can check the status by using systemctl status. You can list down all the services also. That's okay. And yeah, status you can check. Start you can do. Okay, so stop you can do. Systemctl stop you can do. Restart you can do. And enable also you can do. And if you don't want it, you can also do it by using systemctl disable. So these are the options that we have it on the systemctl. But however, we need to create our own services and do the things and all. So that we'll do anyhow next week. The project will give the requirement. So we'll do that. So that won't be a problem. Yeah. Any questions? Any questions and confusions on this? Okay. Cool. So the next is the last one for today's session, which is going to be the permission management, by the way. Okay. Whenever you create some files, automatically some permissions are coming into picture. Let's say touch new.txt to ls-l. So you got one. The file name which you got, it is by default whoever user created that user, and by default whoever the group he belonged to, that group you got it here. Now if you want to change these permissions, by the way, or ownerships from one person to another person, so then that's where this this file permission ownership commands comes into picture. Now let's say I wanted to transfer this file to a root user, by the way. So chown, okay, change the ownership of to root user of which file? New.txt. Now what happened to this file? The ownership has been given to root user. Okay. So that's what it is. And next is the same way, if you want to change the group also, there is a root group also is there. So chgrp, and you can view that file. You can see this. Now the group is also changed. Okay. So that's how you do that. For an example, if you want to do both the things at the same time, yes, you can do that. So owner and group you wanted to change at the same time. So chown ec2-user colon ec2-user, sorry, colon, not double. You can use colon. Okay. So you can do that with the single command also, chown. It should be able to do that. All right. So this is how you can change the permissions. Now, what this, the owner and group owner, what these guys can do, by the way. Okay. So that is where the, and that is where the, this one, next thing comes into picture, which is permissions. And where is this? Yeah, here it is. Let's put this. So there is a owner, there is a group owner, and there are others. So the categorization comes here like this. Okay. The categories comes like this. Now, owner and group owner is what you're seeing on the file, right? So you're seeing the owner, who is the owner, who is the group. But that system have other users also, like not only this one owner and one group. Okay. So how do we deal with other users, by the way. And that's where the permissions comes into picture. Now the permissions actually comes up here is, RWX, or for read WX. Okay. So he can read the file if this permission is there. He can write to the file if this permission is there, and execute is there if you can write this file. So now that means if you go back to this ls-l here, the first 10 characters, the next 9 characters apart from the first character determines what permission you have. Okay. Now RW hyphen, that means who can do that RW hyphen. So that means the owner can read and write. Now the people belong to that group can only read this file, and others can read this file. They can't write and execute. Group also can't read and execute. Only the owner can read it and write it. This is the modification they have done. Okay. Now I wanted to change this particular permission. So how can we do that is, so this is treated as a user, group, and others. And if you want the plus permission, okay, plus or minus you can use. Plus means plus, minus means minus. Okay. So that means a command comes into picture. So sudo chmod. Okay. So ugo will come into picture. Now let's say ugo minus rwx of new.txt file. So if you see this, there is no permissions at all. I removed all the permissions. Actually, it was a mistake also. W it came. So it's a ugo minus rwx. Now let's say if I give ugo plus rwx and I give ls-l, you can see this full permissions. Now, however, the permissions you are thinking of, you can do that. Okay. So now let's say first let me remove all the permissions. Now let's say only for owner, I wanted to give the permission. So now I'll give u plus x. So now that permission, sorry, u plus x, only owner can execute that file. Okay, u plus r. Okay, so I will give ls-l. So you can see like this. All right. So these are the two commands that you have. And there's also other way of doing it, by the way. So the numbers has, okay. So there is something called as 420 rather than the numbers. For a beginner, by the way, I think this is a very straightforward and easy for you to understand. Whoever is the owner of the file, whoever is the group owner of the file, and who are others, by the way. So just give plus or minus, okay, with the command chmod, and this work will be done. Chmod, ugo plus or minus rwx. So it's easy to start for a beginner. So there are other ways, that's okay. I already told, there are many ways to do something, right? So there are other ways. Okay. So that is how we are going to deal with the permissions, by the way. So you can change the ownership and change the group ownership. And also you can change the permissions of the file, like who can do what. So people can read the file, write the file, or execute the file. So if you don't have that permission, now for an example, if I try to open the new.txt file, so it is telling read-only file, you can't do modifications. Okay, although I have given :w, it will say that I can't save this file. Okay, :q exclamation, I'm coming out without saving this file because I don't have write permission. So I have to give the permission to that file first. I have to when I want to do the operation. Okay, so this is how we are going to deal with the permissions and ownerships, by the way. So that comes to the end of these permissions and ownerships. Any questions? I'll also just cover the disk management part also. A couple of disk commands we'll cover. We'll not do manage the disk, by the way. Why? Again, I'll tell later. We'll talk about it. But just to start with, I'll just cover a couple of disk utilization or disk related commands. Then we'll close for today. Yeah. Any questions before the disk on this? ownership and uh, permissions. Any questions, confusions? Okay. All right. So then in that particular case, so we'll go for the next one, the last one, which is disk related things. So you need to understand, okay, how many disks are there and how much is your disk utilization and things like that. That's very important as well. Okay. So you have a command called as df. Df will show that, so which disk is actually mounted on which directory. Okay. So it's like C drive, D drive and all. C drive also literally one disk behind the scene, and how much is utilized and all, you can see it, right? So the same way here. You can also get it in a human readable format. If I go for H, it will show you the sizes in a proper way. Okay. So, but anyhow, the usage number is an important one. So this is one thing. So sometimes you will see even the challenges in the actually in the training. So you'll see the disk is getting full. Okay, how do you handle that? So that scenarios will come. We'll deal with that. You will understand. And the next is okay, how many hard disks are there in my system? So that actually you can also get it by using lsblk. Okay, so lsblk is going to tell you that there is one disk, by the way, one disk is there, and that one disk actually has been has been done into four partitions. Okay, xvda 1 2 3 4, four disks is in partition, and this fourth disk again has been partition again. This is actually we call it as logical partition. It's not a real physical partition. This is logically partitioned in these many places. Now what is this, why it's and all, you'll see it later. Ignore it. But again, you need to see like this. So now you need to understand, okay, how many real disks are there, how many partitions are there, okay, which partition to be can be used and all. You'll get some understanding by using lsblk, list block devices, lsblk, and df-h also. These two commands will help us in starting the things in a better way. So then we have some understanding about the operating system. So other than the network part, so network will take it up a little lengthier time. So this time is not enough for network. So we'll next week immediately the first session will cover network, and we'll start understanding the project structures, general project structures. So we'll generalize and we'll understand, and we'll start picking up our project, and we'll proceed from there. Okay. So that's all from my side for today. Any questions? Not able to hear you, Mani. Manual. Moving on. Any other questions?
Hi, Raghu. So the thing is, let's say I created a directory and did not give it the execute permission. And then inside that directory, I created a script. So if I try to run that script outside that directory, will it run or not?
You're talking about executable permission. Okay.
Yep. Mhm.
No, you'll not be able to. So directory requires executable permissions in order to access the directory. So that's by design.
Okay, I see. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right, I think I think like we can meet in next session, and the next session will be on after 2 days, by the way. So we'll meet in next session, and by the time everyone make sure you get onboarded to the proper training. By the way, and I mean, so this is all weekdays. We have been busy, like we have not done the proper onboarding for everyone. So we'll just take care over the weekend, by the way. So, but by Monday when you're joining, you make sure you get yourself onboarded. Okay, reach out to your organizer if you haven't received any email about the onboarding. Okay, so that's all from my side. And any questions? Lab session is still open over the weekends as well. So any questions, you reach out. That's all from my side for today. Thank you. See you next session. Bye. Good day. Good day.